Hi, today I'm reviewing the DIOR BackStage Face and Body Foundation. And really quick, I just want to say I purchase all these products with my own money, so you know you can trust my opinion is what I honestly believe. So today I've got the DIOR BackStage Foundation, which came out recently. I got a couple samples, and the sample that matches me closest was 3N. And I think I got a couple of these as Sephora promos. So they're not the biggest bottles, but you definitely get several tries out of them. So if you can definitely check out some good promos, if you're purchasing things at Sephora, it's definitely well worth it. And I know I look a little red today. I had brunch, and where I'm at, it's about, I'd say, close to 100 degrees. It's like 95. Humidity is like 80%. And where I went to eat, they only had a table outside with no umbrella, so thankfully I'm wearing a lot of sunscreen, but still pretty hot, and that was a couple hours ago. So anyway, let me get back onto track here. So the DIOR BackStage Foundation, they've got several different of these foundations. They came out with this, they came out with some face palettes, a lip palette, and a cheek palette, eye palette as well. So they came out with a whole collection of these, and the eyeshadow palette looks very fun, so I might have to try that one out as well. So anyway, so back to the foundation. I'm going to let you guys know my thoughts on it. So my first criteria on the Sarah score scale is packaging, and obviously this is the deluxe sample, but the full size comes in a bottle, and so they've done a nice job packaging it, so it definitely keeps the ingredients safe, away from air. So they've done a nice job with the packaging. DIOR usually does a good job with that, so I gave them a thumb up for that criteria. My second criteria is alcohol, and unfortunately in this, and it's a very liquidy foundation, and that's because denatured alcohol is the third ingredient in it. So usually, you know, there's many different schools of thoughts when it comes to ingredients in cosmetics. There's schools of thoughts that say if it's not in the first 5 ingredients, it doesn't matter. But since it's in the third ingredient, there's a very high amount of denatured alcohol in it, which probably gives it the quick drying effect that it has. It sets very quickly. So this would be much better without the denatured alcohol or in a much lower amount on the list. So denatured alcohol can cause free radical damage, and sometimes cell death, and you might not notice it or even know that it's happening to your skin while you're using it. So unfortunately, you know, if you're looking for ingredients in products, alcohol not in and of itself isn't always bad, because there's good alcohols, the fatty alcohols, and bad ones. Denatured alcohol is a bad one. Or if it just says alcohol or alcohol DET, usually that's what they mean, or isopropyl alcohol. So anyway, so you kind of always have to check a little bit more, but this is definitely a bad alcohol, so it'd be much better without it, and that's probably why it does a nice job setting to a nice matte finish, which I love the finish, but anyway, so much better without that. My third criteria is fragrance, and this does include fragrance and other fragrant ingredients, and contains fragrance or parfum, what they call, linalool, limonene, and then citronellol. And so it does have a strong scent once you apply it initially. It does dissipate after about an hour or two, so it's kind of goes away. It doesn't smell that much throughout the day, which is good. But you're much better buying products that are fragrance-free, because fragrance can cause damage, it can cause sensitivity, contact dermatitis, skin irritation, and things like that. So you're much better buying something that doesn't have any fragrance or fragrance components in it. So, and just the word fragrance could be many different ingredients, but it's a trade secret, so they don't have to tell you exactly what their fragrance formula is. So be much better without that. My fourth criteria is manufacturing location, and this is made in France, so there are no issues there. My fifth criteria is ease of use, and this is very easy to use. It's got a nice liquidy texture to it, and this is color 3N. I got a couple different samples, and this one was the one that matched me closest. So it's got a very nice liquid finish. It's very easy to smooth out with a beauty blender. A damp beauty blender, it smooths out evenly, or even with your fingers, which makes it sad because it just goes on so easily. It really does look like skin. And you can see on my hand how it doesn't accentuate too much of any wrinkles I have on my hand, and it dries to a nice matte finish. So, and it sets quite quickly, but it does look rather natural when you first apply it, but I can definitely smell some of that fragrance. And I would say this is a more medium coverage foundation. It kind of covers up some minor superficial marks or scars, but it's not super full coverage or very thick, so it's kind of a nice medium finish, which is kind of easy for most people to work with, I think. So very easy to use. And then my sixth criteria is antioxidants and pigmentation, and there's not really any antioxidants in here, but the pigmentation is great. It's pretty pigmented for having such a light liquid consistency. And the other thing I have to say is the shade range that they have is amazing. They've got many different shades. Like I said, I got 2 different samples, but both were very close matches, which doesn't happen often for me, even having more pale or white skin. I usually don't have a lot of luck finding something right away that matches, but both samples could have worked for me in my opinion. But the shade range is good. The formula is very buildable. Like I said, when you apply it, it does look almost just like skin. So they've done a great job with the pigmentation of this, which makes me even more sad, the fact that they've included so much fragrance. I could almost maybe overlook the alcohol, maybe, had they not put so much fragrance in, but a combination of both just isn't the best for most people's skin. So on to my number 7 criteria, and that is animal testing, and the DIOR brand is not cruelty-free. On to number 8, which is performance, and like I said, you can see I just immediately applied this. It still looks good. I have drier skin and sensitive skin, and after about 3 to 4 hours, it starts to accentuate any dry patches or flakiness I have on my skin. If you have oily skin, you're less likely to have that issue, but those of you with drier skin, or if you're sensitive to fragrance or denatured alcohol, like most people are, you're probably going to notice a little bit of flakiness towards the end of the day, unless you use a nice, a good solid primer underneath it, a good hydrating primer. You're probably not going to notice that as much, but still, with a formula that contains that much, you know, it's going to definitely accentuate some of that. But after you first apply it, it's good for at least 3 to 4 hours before you notice any of that, or before I did. So on to number 9, which is the price, and it's pretty pricey. It's $40 for 1 ounce, but for a DIOR product, that's almost cheap. So gotta keep that in mind. And then a little bit does go a long way because it's a nice liquid texture. So you're not going to use as much if it were like a thick cream. So keep that in mind too, but it is a little pricey. And then on to number 10, which is the it factor. And I would have given them this had they not contained so much fragrance and denatured alcohol. In fact, had they not contained fragrance or so much denatured alcohol, this would probably become my go-to foundation. But unfortunately, someone like me with more sensitive skin, I just can't pull this one off. And if it didn't contain that much denatured alcohol, I probably wouldn't have as many issues with the dryness and flakiness. And as well, I'm kind of sensitive to fragrance as well. So anyway, I'm bummed because I would love to switch to this one because I do like it for many reasons, but there's more reasons against it than there are for it. So overall, this got a 4 out of 10 on the Sarah Score scale. I said that right? It's very alliterative. Anyway, so they could have done better easily, but, you know, a lot of these high-end brands like to use a lot of fragrance because they kind of consider it their trade or their brand is kind of a scent. You know, every brand kind of does, like Tatcha has their kind of scent that everything smells like, and DIOR and YSL. So anyway, I'm a little bit bummed. It does have very good reviews online, but you got to kind of take into consideration everyone's skin type, dry, sensitive, oily, and everyone kind of has different experience with products. And then sometimes once you know what's in them, you kind of look for things more. So I usually try things first and then look at the ingredient list next. So I'm not too biased once I see ingredients. So anyway, so I'm interested if you guys have had a chance to try this one out yet or not. And if so, what your thoughts were. Ike is staring at me. I think he wants a bone or something, or a ball, or I don't know. Hi, Ike. You want to come say hi to everyone? Come here. He loves to be on camera. Say hi. Oh, he's hot today. It's too hot here. Although it's better than -20, so I'll take it. But so anyway, leave a comment. I love hearing from you guys. Feel free to subscribe if you're not already. I come with at least one new review every day. And check out don'tbeasbeauty.net and the Amazon link below. Thank you so much, guys. Nobody wants to see your butt, Ike. They want to see your face.